like I said, I think just not knowing what I don't know. And, sometimes particularly now, it has got to a point where I probably have less time to think, where I used to have a lot more time to think. So it was easier to reflect when I had more time to think, or when I prioritized, when I didn't have as much on my mind. So it was a lot easier to iterate, and it was a lot easier to go and look for resources. Whereas now, like, there's so many things going on, and I'm constantly thinking about, what's going to happen there, how are we going to do that, how are we going to do this, that I probably don't have as much capacity, or I don't create as much capacity to stop and think. So I think that's probably the next hurdle is
creating space.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's where it's also interesting with entrepreneurship is you've got to subtract before you can add more on.
Definitely.
Whereas most people just try and chuck more shit on their plate, which eventually, dude, you got to take some fucking stuff off.
Definitely. And I think I think as an entrepreneur, or as a business owner, you kind of, you want to feel busy. And when you started, like, you go through a point. So when you start, you're not as busy, and then your busyness starts to kind of build up. And then when you start to scale, your busyness obviously hits a peak, and then it starts to, because you start hiring people. But then we want to chase that busyness feeling, because we're like, well,
looking for the dopamine.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're like, oh, well, I'm not busy anymore. Does that mean I'm failing? And you don't look at the numbers. You don't sit there and go, oh, like, but we did better this year, or we did better this quarter. You kind of go, oh, well, I wasn't as busy as I was last week. Like, is that a problem? And that it becomes your identity, right? Like, my identity is to be fucking busy, and like, I like it. So if I'm not as busy, I'm like, shit, something's wrong.
So that's also where I see sometimes people almost like kind of break their business a bit to try and make themselves busy again. They come up with stupid ideas. Then they have something they have to kind of do or fix.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I was actually reading a book that Craig recommended. It's called Second in Command.
Okay. And is that about COOs?
Yeah. And he actually mentioned exactly the same thing. It was funny. I was driving home last night and listening to it, and he's like, yep, some CEOs will look for things and break things just so they can refix them, just so they feel like they're, because again, it's not as exciting, man. Like, I remember our first week when we did, our first 10 sale week was like, I was over the moon, and now we do, 50, 60, sometimes like more sale weeks. And I'm not as over the moon as I was back then, because it's just common practice. And I'm like, all right, cool. We got 60 sales this week.
But do you also find that sometimes that's not a difficult thing to deal with, but like at the beginning, like you first sold first one, it's like a massive dopamine hit.
Yeah. And
then so you do like 10 a week, you're like, it's fucking insane. And you get 50 a week. And then like after a while you do like 70 a week and you just don't care.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of looking for that next level thing. And then when you have the next level thing, the novelty kind of wears off.
Definitely. And I think that's, I think the transferable there is like, it's the same as if you center yourself around having nice shit, right? And look, don't get me wrong. Like, I love nice shit probably more than a lot of people. But I think there's a trap with making it about getting the next thing, So a friend of mine, he worked really hard. Like he was actually the one that got me the job in the first place. Okay. He's now doing commercial real estate, and he worked super hard, bought himself an Audi RS3, which he was gassed with. He was so excited, like best thing ever. And then he stopped showing up at the same time every day. He started leaving a bit earlier. He started having a few more big weekends, and it's sort of like, okay, I've got that now. What's next? Maybe a Urus, but like I'm so far off a Urus, right? Or I'm so far off a G-Wagon. This is kind of like, I can celebrate now because I got my goal. So I think it's the same for me, man, is like, I'm like, all right, we got 70 sales this week, which is huge, massive week. I was like, I was in shock when people would tell me years ago that companies were doing that, and now we are. But it's not, for me, it's not so much about that. It's about building the company from within, and that's just the measure. Like, are we doing a good job? Well, we got 70 last week. Now we got 75. Let's keep that up for 4 weeks and see how we go. Because good weeks happen, bad weeks happen. But if I tie my identity to the good week, then I'm going to be upset when the bad week happens. And then I might overcorrect when there's not really that big of a problem.
So how have you found to handle those bad weeks?
I just go, what are we fixing? Like, I just straight away is like, all right, cool. Understand why it happened. Usually I will pretty quickly, and then just let's get to the drawing board and because again, man, like you're gonna have good weeks and you're gonna have bad weeks. As long as we're trending up, like that's, you've got to look at it macro rather than micro. Yeah, zoom out a little bit and just see the total, and it's difficult. It is, man, because you know, when you look at it and you feel like you're maybe not growing fast enough, and you feel like you can do a million things in 3 days, you've got to obviously deploy some patience and just, again, go back to the fucking doing the same thing every single day. And if it doesn't happen today, it'll happen next week.
Now, if you enjoyed this clip and you're a coach, creator, or a business owner, and you want help in terms of how to scale your business using ads, AI, content, marketing, a lot of things we talk about on the show, then hit the link at the top line of our description in the YouTube video. You can book on a call with us and we'll walk through the whole process, audit your business, and show you where there's huge, huge opportunities for you to scale.